idang guru rana mendala kaniyada Nisanje chetan soji chanan la chanju padu dani jesu Dagi chi jin jivi sonan ji dola benji sanje du Sanje chetan soji chanan la chanju padu dani jesu je Dagi chi jin jivi sonan ji Ye sanje du wa yo sanje chetan soji chanan la chanju padu dani Yenji sananji dola benji sanje duwa tata myanji boda jejin la su cheji chola chowa chowa da sanje sumbaru de shi de jibe de ji de bekin de jejin yende rinje sayu de juba de juba de la chol de jin gwe ji de la benji ya sun sai me ambe da ne namasa ye ku da ne jin gwe bonda da min do ku ji tal de ka do da ge che den do o la da Bagilame Gotagarana Sanje Chuzo Kamda Chanjuda, and then Sanje Tilla Tamati. Then you can do Lunin Dodona, Doji Nedin Dizako Jenny. Osumana Shin Jenny. That Lu Tambogi. I knew Jajatella. Madame the Jajatadu the Chief Kunjasum down. I need to eat of the Chief Kunjasum. Until I yeah, that's
So, do you have the first verse in chapter in English, in the first verse? It doesn't have. Do you have
It's in verse number 1.
verse. Taking the taking the first chapter, first stanza of the chapter 1 of the Uttaratantra, the sublime continuum. Within that, then within that enlists what it enlists are the 7 Vajra points that are the subject material for this text. And the first of this chapter then deals with the 3 resultant refuge to be actualized, and the 3 presentation of the 3 causal refuge, enabling us in the attainment of that resultant refuge. So, and then you have the presentation of each one of these sublime, rare and sublime objects of refuge, the rare and sublime Buddha, then endowed with these 8 specific qualities, the rare and sublime Dharma with the 8 specific qualities, and the Sangha, the rare and sublime Sangha, having those 8 qualities. So in this way, in that first chapter, then introducing us to the nature of these 3 objects of refuge.
Oh yeah, that he Kasare Topji Kunjosumbo de Deja Todu de Ranga Toja. That de Toba Chebala, Ani Tep Toba Chebi, the Topjeki Lam, Rangi, Yamsulian Gova Yindang, Yamsulian Bala Shia Gova Yindang, Ani Gi Japsumbo Digi, Ani Yamsulin to switch into my dance, Ani Yamsulian Conguamari.
So these 3 ultimate resultant objects of refuge is what is to be attained. The ultimate resultant objects of refuge is what is to be attained, and in order to attain this, then one must engage in the practices of a path. And in order to engage in the practices of a path, one must have the understanding or the knowledge of this path. And so for that reason, then you have the presentation of the causal refuge.
Tom knew a day. I need Casore. You just somebody, Sanyan, you just to give Sanja Kunjo, Yamsulin to push into Dane, and then you just somebody Tom knew a carriers and that Rana Topjik in Nuva, come sing a day. 아니 산제지 꾸주run기 아니 디마체지 지당 아니 가소리 뒤제그 꾸주run기 아니 연주기 니여와 인상 감세야지 아니 감디 도시된 거 아래 류류니 말아
So the fact that one can attain this ultimate resultant refuge is established on the basis of one's potential, the potential or the predisposition that allows for us to develop ourselves into that state of ultimate resultant refuge. So to explain that potential, then you have the explanation of the basic Buddha element within us. And when we talk about this basic Buddha element, then that allows for us that kind of development into our state of Buddhahood. Then this has the uncreated or non-composite, basic element, and then a composite. It has that a non-composite aspect and a composite aspect of this basic element.
심지라시 여자와데 남산남반지 유관에 심지라시라 팀엘레바 마쇼바 심지라시 여자와데 심지 팀마단 차룬데 남산남반지 유관에 달라팝.
So the fact that we can actualize this transformation within us to actualize the Buddha bodies, and that which is of the composite kind, and that which is of the non-composite kind. The fact that we have the potential for this kind of transformation and development in us is established on the basis of our mind having this nature which is luminous, which is clear light, which is presented from the point of view of these 10 principles. How this mind, by nature, being clear light, is totally free of the defilements in its nature. That the defilements do not contaminate the nature of our mind, and therefore that these defilements are removable. So this point is presented on the basis of these 10 principles.
되네 된지 가서 셈당 셈 강을 땜비 심지 친이가 아니 차당 모습 나서와 그 처마다 제와 이나양 처마 생각인데 아니 셈지랑신라 마슈바 처마 생각인데 루부와 임바见到参念不达参呢아니 가도로와 임바 네 아니 가서래 디브제기 백구당 디브제기 복구당 대라양 아니 전당 베이스가라 디브제도 식제가라 아니 처마루보와 임바지 마샤
And so the mind and the suchness of the mind, the Dhammadhatu of the mind, although it is with defilements, the defilements of our desire, our anger and ignorance, although it is with the defilements, but those defilements, does not exist in the nature of the mind, and therefore it is advantageous. And because it is advantageous, so when it encounters conditions, then you can put a stop, seize these afflictions. So to illustrate this point, then there is the presentation of the 9 examples, examples to illustrate the 9 obscuring factors and its corresponding meaning.
Then, 가서래 치마루보와 임바 섬지랑신라 마슈바 인장 다 치마 좀이 탑 토마 아니 가르사라 기부 충이 람라 람라니 람라 장디 아니 미그 좁은 거 주름 쓴 거당 되네 림바신도 아니 타바테니 그 로제니 아니 고양이입니다 타비 파연 텐디 아니 타바테니 그 로제수당 좋아 되네 장주센바이나 아니 가서리 랑동아지 나와라 미세바기 내중 되게 차니 아니 섬전시 동아라 미세바기 닝지당 아니 자주 그 섬기줄라서야 셴네 좋아
So, because the defilements are temporary or advantageous, and because these defilements do not exist in the nature of the mind, so you have the means to get rid of it. You have the means to purify these defilements, and the means to purifying these defilements begins from the path and practices of the small scope. Beginning from training in a path in which one first abandons the 10 non-virtuous actions of our body, speech, and mind, and then in this graduated series of practices leading to the mind which sees the failings and the shortcomings of one's samsaric existence and generating the intention to attain liberation. Through seeing the shortcomings of samsara, wanting to abandon it, through seeing the benefits of the liberation, then wanting to attain that goal. So in this way, generating these realizations respectively, so that then when one attains the level of the bodhisattva's practices, then one has the basis of the renunciation in terms of reflecting on suffering in terms of one's own suffering, then cultivating the thought of renunciation, and by thinking of suffering in terms of other sentient beings, then cultivating the mind of compassion and bodhicitta.
Oh yeah, then that 가소래 아니 티바치비 쳇라 퇴삼 쳇디 아니 퇴삼 공좀 시라 림지 게디 내가 돈이 무슨 더 떠진 돈이 무슨 더 떠니 통남 터바네 손대더니 방자 꾼다기 방니 방자 꾼다기 방와다 내내 아니 사중기 내가서 딘딘하게 방와다 인자 마다 타바탕 세가서 쉬어나 신신이 어디니 딘주 꾼다다 아니 딘진 예모비 집에 타바다 아니 시집게 타바라 소바기 다사주 림지 제대 아니 타를 아니 산재기 창주 터야 되마 다도스마 제제가라 감 제마 정도의 루니와 시아와 말에
So
감무에서다 감지 처마시 잡아타니 람제비 수대
So in order to engage in the practices of the Mahayana vehicle, then you go through the study, the cultivating of the understanding, and the meditation. And by undertaking these activities, then you generate the wisdom of hearing, the wisdom of the understanding, the wisdom of the meditation gradually, and which eventually leads to that wisdom directly realizing emptiness. Which occurs on the Mahayana path of seeing, and when this is attained, then one is able to abandon all of the imputed kinds of grasping at true existence. Then along the 7 impure levels, then one gets to abandon the innate forms of the grasping at true existence. So that way you have the stages of being totally unpurified, then gradually developing oneself to a partially purified state, and then eventually to the level of being totally purified by first and foremost then abandoning the obscuration of afflictions, and then abandoning the obscuration to knowledge or omniscience. So in this way, then one one makes the progress, the gradual progress along the 10 bodhisattva levels. And then after completing that progression, then you have the resultant state of the Buddhahood, the state of complete Buddhahood. So this whole process is explained in the second chapter of the introducing the basic element, the Tathagata Garbha, the basic element, and the means to purifying this element. So recognizing the nature of this basic element and the methods to purifying this basic element is what is the subject matter of the second chapter.
Oi, 대답 아니 감정제 명화라 소비 아니 소남다 이시그 소송도 제와라 감장발라 다 가려 토바래 sana 아니 창주 세야데 사바다 미지와시비 이시장 때문에 타도 시다 야나 방도 그 뒤비 창주 세다 창주 세가나 방바다 또변 뒤와 균 탐제래 초신 연대 탐자단 댐비 아니 이 가서를 추구당 수구 추구될라양 안 방바 추구다 추구 아니 가서를 또바 추구니 또바 방바 추구시가나 아니 균지를 타다 방바 그 고바지당 고바도 아니 균지를 타다 세바 인상 세자 탐제 등이 연반이 주디비 세자 탐제 치다와 진도 무슨도 스바 타도바 그 또바 추구니 드니 뒤가나 내왕안된지 런치 조교 구당 내왕나다 메덴비 누자락 삼바다 치다와 신도 아니 칸다 tum바 나네 semyang 조된 제바기 날 두고 세야돼 아니 다 창조가를 땜바인 말에 말에 산제 저저 칸다 창조탕
One is able to begin with the purification of this basic element, starting with the devotion to the Mahayana Dharma, starting with this attitude, and then gradually accomplishing the accumulation of the two types of merit of virtue and merit of wisdom. And as a result of this total purification of this basic element, then you have the actualizing one's enlightenment, which is the exhaustion of the total exhaustion of everything that one needs to abandon, and wherein which those the state in which it is a state where one is totally extinct or is having totally exhausted everything that one needs to abandon, where the state in which those abandonments will never arise in you again. So in this way, one actualizes one's ultimate refuge, by ultimate refuge when one becomes enlightened. So this state of enlightenment is subsumed within what is known as the perfect abandonments and the perfect realizations, or in the Dhammakaya of abandonment, the Dhammakaya of abandonments and the Dhammakaya of realizations, in which one is totally free of all of the failings and mistakes and fully complete in all the qualities and knowledge. So in this way, you have the Dhammakaya, the truth body, and the Rupakaya, the form body. So the Dhammakaya of abandonments, the truth body of abandonments, then refers to having abandoned all of one's failings and mistakes, having attained the cessation of that, having attained the exhaustion of that. And the Dhammakaya of realizations is the direct insight of all objects of knowledge, conventionally and ultimately. And that is the Dhammakaya of realizations. And then you have the form bodies, the Rupakayas, one which has these 5 definite features in the way of the Sambhogakaya, the Buddha's body of enjoyment, and then the other body without these 5 definite features in the aspect of the Nirmanakaya, or the supreme emanation body, which the body with which it fulfills the benefit of sentient beings in accordance with sentient beings' predispositions, mind level, and interest in fulfilling the welfare of sentient beings. So in this way, then these points are presented. These activities are presented, or these points are presented in the chapter on enlightenment.
Oh yeah, that didn't change your gaso, and the church will go in Danny. Luti Chanju the gaso, the genetic and Chanchi Tigana. That church will go in your day, and then you have a cheat about Dambare, Sena. Anito, that level on my take you, and then you leave your gaso. Randation the Tandam tell them you could go Kunido. Tada Nama maybe and then you were true to say Tigi. That Casore Suguni Wodela, Randungi, Suguni Wodela, Randungo Cookie Tanya Jay, Suguni Wodela, and a Jandungo Cookie Tanya Jani. And it's Sugudi, and you end up Java Candid Chavare, Sana Top Judah, Mijiba Sida, Sanja Gichoma, Java Jobja, Chani, Diana Sumsani. And it's so good that I end up Java Candid Javas and 10 Summer Sumsani, 10 today. That you end up you got to shine, buddy.
So when teaching on the chapter on enlightenment, then you have the presentation of these 2 Buddha bodies, the truth body and the form body, the Dhammakaya and the Rupakaya. So then following the chapter on enlightenment, then you have the chapter on the qualities. What are the qualities attributed to these 2 Buddha bodies? And so for the chapter on qualities, then you have the presentation of the 64 qualities of these Buddha bodies. The Dhammakaya, which is associated as a body for fulfilling the ultimate benefit for the self, and the Rupakaya, the form body, as a body fulfilling the ultimate benefit for the others. So in introducing the qualities of these bodies, then you have the 10 powers, the 4 states of fearlessness, the 18 unique qualities of the Buddha, that are associated with the Dhamma, with the quality of the Dhammakayas, and then with the form body, then you have these 32 major marks of Buddhahood.
Oh yeah, that thing, tenderly, only Castle, and then be changed to Tovedi. That Chiduchava Kangi top to Chitawari, Sirigana, Tomane, Sem Gidigana, Sem Japani, Shandin Chi, Yanda Zovi, Chanchu de Sirigana, and then Shan Gitendo, Shan Lana Bayanda Zovi, Sanjay Chanjula Goba Teto, Sem Jaba Yinzang. That Chanju Tomni, Chawakari Zawade, Sana, and then some Jan Tamje. Undo, Lamji Dan Undo la Goya, then a Tabala Goya. 아니 탐지 챵발라 괴기 아니다 괴바기 산제기 칠레 누잘라 촌이 주고와 인장 아니 누지 칸다 누이 탐망기 세태가기 다 산제 칠레라 괴와데라 칠레 주미제 바당 다 도스마제 가나 칠레 배메힌도도 주주단 칠레 주미제 바당 아니 구순도지 칠레 상톤 구순도지 칠레다 구순도지 상와라 소와 자 칠레 주주데 다든다 류 타마데도 땡류하리
so the purpose behind attaining such an enlightenment, the purpose for attaining all of these qualities has been all for the benefit of others, for the sole benefit of others. So because from the initial phase of generating the mind of bodhicitta, which is to attain enlightenment solely for the benefit of others. Generating bodhicitta, when one generates the bodhicitta, that mind seeks to fulfill the welfare of others. And in order to fulfill the welfare of others, then, in order to have that capacity for fulfilling the welfare of others, then, seeking to achieve enlightenment. Seeking to achieve enlightenment. So when enlightenment is achieved, then what one does is benefit sentient beings, beginning with enabling sentient beings to higher rebirth, which is the basis of the path, the basis by which one can accomplish the stages of the path, and leading up to liberation, leading up to enlightenment. So in order to allow for all of these things to happen, then you have the last chapter on the activities of the Buddha, how those activities of the Buddha then engages sentient beings, and those qualities of those activities that are so spontaneous, uninterrupted. So in this way you have the activities of the holy body, speech and mind, and the secrecies of the holy body, speech and mind. So in this way, the subject matter of the Uttaratantra, which is the 7 points, the 7 Vajra points, then explains how each point then relates to the following point, how all of the latter points then supports the previous point. And so now going to the commentary where we left off in the Tibetan, it's on page 456. So explaining the meaning, corresponding meaning of those examples and the purpose of those examples.
So the
direct meaning is explained in the root text. So that's Rinpoche just read the verse 79. The performance of these and those acts without effort is not to be perceived by us. Therefore, for the sake of clearing the doubts of the converts, these 9 examples have been demonstrated. So when we talk about the Buddha's activities in teaching the Dharma to sentient beings without effort and continuously without effort, then if there are any sort of questions as to how this is applicable, how without effort can such activities take place in the physically, verbally, in the way of in the way of giving teachings to the sentient beings. Now, how is it possible without effort? If there is a question of such a kind.
어디 배송매바 차와간 제바 토메 대회나 두지 태좀 제비지 배낭군이 담바인
So in order to understand how the activities of the Buddhas take place spontaneously and without without effort and continuously, and if sentient beings who are not able to perceive this directly, if they have any doubts, then in order to clear away these doubts, then you have the presentation of these 9 examples that introduces us to the nature of the holy body, speech and mind, to the types of the activities of the holy body, speech and mind, and the secrecies of the holy body, speech and mind as stated within the sutras.
다디 누제텔라 도대체 니예베나네 담바텔라 칸도 빼고 버티다 개발업도 된다바 도이 이니 민이지 대유거바 담바인 세대인바다.
And so verse 80 is the brief teaching, which is and the discourse in which these examples are shown in detail by its very name shows the necessity of their indication.
다되게 가르스나 칸도 빼고 대다게 세가라 도대 칸도 아니 빼 산제주 구자진 기수냐라 숭 아니 가다라 소와다 기타 빼고 대다 개와라도 담바 주와데 가르레스나 산제 탐제지 유라 주바 너 가르네 수담바데 신앙과 gen지 너 시자와 너디 민이지 빼고 매위 너 되게 공부나시 아니 담바 인수만 바데 신앙과 gen지 또 공부나시.
So these 9 examples that are taken from the sutras, examples to illustrate the nature and the activities and secrecy of the holy body, speech and mind of the Buddha. And the examples here refer to, in the example of Indra, the celestial drum, and so forth. These 9 examples that are found in detail, as explained within the sutra, is now again. Is the sutra which is the ornament of the illumination of transcendental wisdom. It's something Jana Lokayanta, that sutra. So it's found in detail in that particular sutra, and this kind of knowledge of these qualities of the Buddha is the knowledge of the Buddha. In the details of these qualities is the knowledge of the Buddha.
Oh yeah. There's one kandu pe gubu teda gebara du tamba sa to de kandu yaji ani yaji sunyala so pe gebara du tamba chuwa de ani sanje ji yula juba ishinawa ji doi mentigi ani do de ti mengi gi ani tamba yin che so do de ti gongba den ni ti tamba shaba yin che.
So this kind of excellent, kind of detailed explanation of the of the activities of the Buddha, because it is the object of knowledge of the Buddha, then it is taught in this particular sutra. The ornament of the what is known as the ornament of the illumination of transcendental wisdom.
Tewa lejun shewa ye nawa jashin di jembe londe ni do sanje ji ju kulan juba chur sa de tenbara.
the next root stanza, adorned by this magnificent light of the knowledge, which is the result of study, the wise will speedily penetrate into the whole of the sphere of Buddhahood.
아니 산제의 구유연대라 산제의 구구당 송 칠레도 배구이 담바 체비 아니 이신나와제진 도디 태와라 주비 시와의 최중기 시와게 나와 자첨부디 연비 최중기 시와게 나와 자첨부디 덴비 원내 chanju semba nam 유도 산제의 주유 태와라 때네 아니 산제의 주유 사와단 자체와 꾸인래 삼중의 셰럽기 삼디 태위된데 삼중의 셰럽기 삼발라 때네 이체네 아니 사와단 자체비 꾸나 이체네 아니 퇴섬지 죽죽그래서 양수련발라 죽죽그래서
So as explained within the sutra known as the ornament of the illumination of transcendental wisdom, within that you have the explanation of all of the qualities of the Buddha's holy body, speech, and mind. So when we have the opportunity, when people have the opportunity to hear the explanation of these sutras, then there is an illumination within their mind, a wisdom that arises out of hearing these, and the Buddhist. And such as the Bodhisattvas, then by reflecting on those qualities, then generate firm faith and belief, generate the mind of firm faith and belief in these presentations of these profound and extensive points, and thereby and thereby generate what is known as the wisdom that arises out of the understanding of these.
Ani pe namba kujaba tela ni te duden ngawar sung sita duden sung yamare lo dembate.
So and then explain the brief explanation of the meaning, following the outline of the brief teaching, expanded explanation. The subject discussed is illustrated by the form of the Indra on the lapis lazuli surface, and the other examples, 9 in number, apprehend thou in short their meaning, though short in meaning.
Sanjay Chile, Jimmy Jeva Juba Toba Titan, Sanjay Chile, the new one, Bamilun Juba, the Jimmy Jeva Juba, Jimmy Jeva Toba Titan, Bindu Sashila, Jajin Sunya Javala, so a better get number Gujaba Telani. Begumeba Tenguba tea, Begumeva take Samba Cheba Tenguba tea, didn't in bed, and never sungure, Chenata by body.
So, when we talk about the qualities, the activities of the Buddhas, one aspect of those activities is that it is continuous, the other being, that it is uninterrupted. So, to understand the spontaneous, in order to understand the spontaneous quality of those activities, then you have those 9 examples illustrated by the form of Indra and so forth. So, understanding the kind of the quality of spontaneity is understood from those 9 examples.
다들이 샤바텔라 아니 대이 된다송당 차바당 주당 이시 주와당 투송구이 상와다 투지단이 토바니 세대기다 대시 샤바딘 바레.
So and verse 83, the apparition, meaning the the Indra form, teaching and the all-pervading character, the miraculous manifestation of the form body and the mental acts, the emanation of the highest wisdom, the inconceivable nature of body, speech, and mind, and the character of great commiseration. All this is demonstrated here, meaning the 9 examples.
다들이 된당세가라 상제지 찬다 배제지 상비 찬다 배제지 대비 론지 조유구당 아니 조유구라서 왔다봐.
So
아니 아니 송양야라 투주기 연단다 덴바크 송참배양당 그러와 아니 투 세자 탐제라 차바기 세자 탐정 모습도 더비 아니 투당
So explaining the holy body that is endowed with all the major and minor marks, in the Sambhokai body, and then the holy speech that is endowed with the 60 fluent kind of melody of the Brahma speech, and the holy mind which pervades all objects of knowledge.
안 두근 집이 천주 다 된지 이제 고다 송그 틀에 안에 주와탕 고다 송그 틀에 다 두근 집이 틀에 투지 이시 저와 투지 틀에당.
So the miraculous manifestations of the holy body, which is the display of the miracles, then you have the the miraculous manifestation of the holy speech, referring to the teachings, and then the miraculous manifestation of the holy mind, which refers to the transcendental wisdom.
어제 무슨 투지 시주와 투지 틀에당 되니 투성구 이상과 단 투지 단위 토바니 세대겐가라 아니 투지 상화 순그 상화 구이 상화 전부 숨당 대다 탐제장 안에 저 가져에서는 안에 저와 임지십이 단위 대다 탐제가 단위 저와 이지 전부 대다 탐제지 땡 인배 투지 단위 대 땡내주 타치바 세가라 다 저와 치지 남인지 전부 로 남지 내가 내 콤바 타치바 토바 이지 아니 되나봐 고대 배굴라 때네 콘도 집에 산제 집에 배매 배바매바 유매체도 더블 주바래.
And the inconceivable nature of the body, speech, and mind refers to the secrecies, the great secrecies of the body, speech, and mind, and all of these have its nature in the great compassion, the great compassion that is developed from the very beginning of the path of training. Then upon enlightenment, then having that full completion of that mind of great compassion. And so therefore, those secrecies of the holy body, speech, and mind then has its basis in that nature of of compassion. So in this way, the activities of the Buddha, which is spontaneous, without effort and continuous, should be understood as illustrated by these 9 examples.
Oh yeah, that is shukden de la inside again. Shukden ji tuan shaba said. Shukden gu tuan shaba de la bezo jugun rab shiba number toba maybe two. Timi bindu jaji ji sunye la so shawa shin said.
So, and the verse 84 is like an indirect explanation, indirect meaning. The mind of the Buddha, with which all exertion is completely purified, since it is free from every kind of thought construction, is like an apparition of the reflective form of Indra on the surface of the Vaidura stone. So, in this verse, talking about the activities of the Buddha when it engages the disciples, the sentient beings, then it does so without any sort of conceptual thought of motivation, free of any sort of conceptual thought of motivation. Then it engages the disciples.
That Chilean Jubilee, number Topaki, Yulan Jubi, and a Gungu of the Shiva in Badaka Shiva, the Gunjan Carre, Chilean Jubilee, number Topa Mabak, Tunga, Bezoki number Topa Maba, Gunonda, Bezoki number Topa Mabak, Tunga, Seatela. Number Topa, maybe 2.
So, why are the activities of the Buddha, why are those activities free of the conceptual thought of motivation when it engages the disciples? It's because the holy mind of the Buddha is free of free of the conceptual mind.
That is Bella Timmy Bindu Jaji Sunya Shawa Lasushin said Betiche.
And it's like the apparition of the reflected form.
Bena Tima may be Bindu Sashitamala, judging Sunya Shave. Sunya Shawa Tela number Topa Mejang Jideba Namji only Juchabala saw Juchabashino, Stella Chabala Chena only Mundo Tojiki, Mundo Tamu Koma Tojiki Juchiguare. So,
on the clear surface of a lapis lazuli stone is the reflection of the form of the Indra. So that's the example. And even though this form of Indra has no conceptual thought, does not bear any, yet the other devas, in dependence upon seeing this reflective form, then when they venerate it or make offerings, they create the causes for higher rebirth.
That is Shabatella. Any Beso Shiva Tamja, the Tometuni, Densi so. Rashin Tuni took into Benny Jashi Suso Yin, said it that in Bata.
So then the root text.
Shabatella.
The proposition is here the pacification of effort, and the mind free from searching thought is the logical reason. And in order to prove its analytical character, the examples of the form of Indra and etc. are given.
Didn't Chao Yambaki, didn't la Lonjaba Chao Yambaki, Nabatoba Jevi, Lula, Lonjebi, Ani Bezo Yawa Shiva Tamjade.
So
그래서 시와 탐자대.
So that it has pacified any sort of exertion of effort to do this or that, to do this or that, or to enjoy this or that. Like this kind of effort, this kind of exertion of effort is completely pacified.
담자와 준장 가르래서나 아니 나바 또바마방 또바메바기 퉁아와 인상 아니 나바 또바다 제비율라 론제비 집에서냐와 시와래 시와 담자와래.
So why are they able to make a statement that that they are free of any kind of effort, have pacified any kind of effort? Is because the holy mind of the Buddha is completely free of conceptual thought. Because of being free of conceptual thought or thought construction, so you can say that because of that quality, then they are free of effort.
maybe 퉁아위 덴지데 아니 배전이와 시와 탐자와데 배전이와 시와 탐자와데 매나 가서 따도도 나바도바 maybe 덴지 도바 maybe 퉁아와데 매나 아니 나바도바다 제비 유라 배전이와 시와데 매거와 인장 다 덴디 균전데 라신기 덴지 세디 임바레 라신기 덴지기 되니 투비 텐도 베라 아니 툼베 자진라 자진고 술라서 왔어 말에 세야돼.
So to make a thesis that thesis of being to make a statement and to make a thesis that of a pacification of all effort, the reason for that is the reason to establish this is because of being free of conceptual thought.
그래서 라신진이 줍텐도 아니 도메 투니 덴지서 세디 독스레체.
So the proposition is here the pacification of effort, and the mind free from searching thought is the logical reasoning.
대체네 아니 때마 지지단 차위 라신지 텐이 투비 텐도 때마 지지단 차와 시가 라신지 투비 텐도 세디 지단 라신 투와데 마임바 지지단 차위 라신레 때마 지지단 차와서 레뉴 그 지지단 차와 마세 아니 사바메비 레당 라라 소바기 이지 라신기 아니 지지단 차와 말이 바자가 사메기 레레데네 주미 아니 이지 라신기 지지단 차위 라신지 텐이 라신지 텐이 투비 텐도 아니 베라 자신기 술라서 샤바레 수인시와오 이 라신지 텐이 투바서 라신 투바나 맞아체 라신 고랑 그 라신이 봐.
So it says that it is free of the character of natural, arising and ceasing, natural arising. So the natural here, you don't take it in the concept existence by way of its own nature, kind of natural, not in that connotation, but that it is free of the nature of affliction, affliction and karma. Like the arising and ceasing that is brought on by affliction and karma. That it is free of the nature of arising and ceasing brought on by uncontaminated, non-afflicted karma.
Oh yeah,
and for that you have the example of the form of Indra.
That number cases and trashing Chile payment to Juba Tuba de Sumba Dimbari. Or number cases and trashing Chile payment to Juba Tuba.
And so the third point you have that that the Buddha is free of arising and ceasing, and therefore, all of the activities of the Buddha are spontaneous.
Oh yeah, Dini Captain D. Tamba Lasso Namguni, Tamba Gigi Tandrava, Baba Meba Rajuba.
And verse 86 here, the meaning of the subject is as follows: the apparition of the Buddha's body and the other aspects are manifested without any effort whatever, since the teacher is not liable to birth and death.
Tadigi Kasare Dini Segala Ani Jasindang Madala Sova Pegu. Ane Sanjay Chile Chamber Chepe Captainis, Captaini, Captain Duna D in this, Captain Tantam Duna D in the Sandini Captain D in the.
So all of the activities of the Buddha are illustrated by these 9 examples, such as Indra, celestial drum, and so forth. The meaning of all of those activities can be subsumed within this.
Oh, Tenita, Temba Lasso Namguni said, and a Temba Gujajingi, Pay Temba Lassoa, soon Natala, so in number Tembaki, number Guni, Tembayanda Bazo Sanje, Tajishua Nashi, Leda Nimongo Wanki Kisimeba. That yes, Chansen Tabasasungi, Saneg Tabasasuna Nebi. 아니 자선 파바 대다장 아니 가수를 내랑 다좀 받대다 말이 바자 그사다 사메기 내라더니 깨와 체기 오 텐지기 이기라시기 내당 삼지 메자비 시위 계시단 차외 차원 두배 다 칠레뱀이 칠레 귀미샤 바당 아니 칠레뱀이 흔들도 주바도 주와래 다딘 바래 와 제와나 Samba Kichi Tandrava, Beme Meba, Baba Meba Rajuba.
So, as illustrated by the examples, the Buddha by the Indra, Buddha's holy body by Indra's form, the holy speech by the speech by the celestial drum, then denotes the activities of that perfect and complete Buddha who is free of birth and death by karma and afflictions, and in the case of the bodhisattvas and Arya heroes and Arya solitary realizers, then free of birth and death on the basis of the grounds of the predispositions of ignorance and non-afflicted karma or uncontaminated karma. In their case, then free of inconceivable birth and free of the inconceivable death, and free of these, then because of being free of all of these, then you have those activities that are spontaneous and uninterrupted.
Natini, we didn't think Java said in Baimata, Tayaka Chitua, oh, Mujitan, Chidi, we didn't thought them, but you didn't think Shaba, we didn't think Java said in Bata. That Tella Zawa Tamjava Zawa Ni Binani, that Zawa Tella, still them but the Tishabas.
So then the next verses is like the summary of those detailed explanation. Then and for that you have the general explanation first.
Oh,
general explanation first, and then explaining the meaning of it.
Papa me baraju ba wo dan ba ji ji tang Papa me baraju kan shi jia jing a dan zheng xin dan chang yi ren jin yi xin a jie xin jia jing dan a dan zheng dan chang ba dan ren bo che dan yi xin ji nu bu dan dan yan dan nan ga dan o da de bei tu ma sa xi pa bai mei jian dun zai de nan jiu zhi zai de da tu ma tian bei tu ma xi xie de la.
So, general explanation is he who appears like Indra, like the celestial drum, and like a cloud, like Brahma, the sun, and the king of wish-fulfilling gems, like the echo, like space, and like the earth, and they acts without effort for the sake of others, as long as dures this world's existence.
Oh, in that 상제지 구당 송당 투정 오 천의 배대라 자진의 순야다 사용하자다 정显
So to illustrate the nature of the Buddha's holy body, speech and mind, you have the examples of the Indra's form, the celestial drum, and the cloud, to illustrate the nature of the holy body, speech and mind.
And
to illustrate the activities of the body, activities of the speech, activities of the mind, you have the form of the Brahma, the sun, and the wish-fulfilling gem. And to illustrate the secrecy of the body, speech, and mind, you have the echo, the space, and the earth.
아니 난조바 남지 롱라 댐바당 롱라 댐나 또바당 아니 아소소랑 그 리바 아니 리바 주그레 세와텔라 타얀 세세 저와 매매 현대 제대 난조직 세팅 바다 매매 현대 제대 난조직
and until and like the earth, and until the very end of samsaric existence, the activities of the Buddha remain spontaneously and continuously fulfilling the welfare of others. And so this is known by a yogi's, by a yogi, by kind of known independence upon scriptural reasoning, and directly known by a yogi's mind. Then she read the next verse. The apparition is like the reflected form of the chief of the gods on a precious stone, and the excellent teaching is like the celestial drum. The all-penetrating wisdom and love, they are like clouds pervading all that lives up to the highest limits of existence. So this is the verse explaining the symbolism.
Oh yeah, that day, Rinjin, Hawa Nashi Tambate, Segala, Ani, Rimbuchi, Ranshin, Rimbuchi Bindu, Sashila, Tabe Tambote, Haya Ambi Sunyan, Nave, Jidenji, Mondo Cheba Shindu, Setela, Tabala Dene, and then Jidenji, Mondo Komban Toba Cheba Tishindu.
So,
Hawa Nashin, Jidenji, Hawa Nashin.
The apparition is like the reflected form of the chief of the gods on a precious stone. So, just like the devas who generate faith in this reflection of the Indra's form, and due to the merits of such practices, then secure for themselves a higher rebirth. Just like the example of the reflection of the Indra's form, and in relation to this reflection of Indra's form, how the worldly devas generating faith then and practice then secure higher rebirth. Similarly, then you have the reflection of the Buddha's form. The reflection of the Buddha's form in the aspect of the Rupakayas, the form bodies, the enjoyment body, and the emanation body, the Sambhogakaya and Nimakaya bodies, and being in independence upon this reflection of these Buddha bodies, then these become the conditions, factors for the disciples to be able to accomplish higher rebirth. And the excellent teaching is like the celestial drum. The holy speech of the Buddhas is likened to the celestial drum, the sound of which carries the subject matter of the 4 Buddhist seals. When this drum sounds, then it carries the material of these 4 distinct Buddhist viewpoints. So in that way, it is likened to the speech of the Buddha.
Sanjeji, any chamber down, the one in Chimpi, any thing the Bechani, drink the sort any tire bin draw, Namene, Yawan Namene, Tayaga Tosho, Sumagine, Shiganane, Sisi Patu Chamne, any Tabichi, Chapan Beba Zeb, Chapan Beba Zeba Sumiji. So
the all-pervading wisdom and love, they are like clouds pervading all that lives up to the highest limits of existence. So the Buddha's knowledge and wisdom and great compassion pervades all existence, from the depth of the hells up to the peak of samsara. The highest peak of samsara is in the formless realm. So that knowledge and compassion of the Buddhas pervades all existence. And when it rains down down upon this existence, the rain of the holy Dharma, raining down the rain of the holy Dharma. So in this way, these 3 examples, the form of Indra's celestial drum and the cloud, illustrate the nature of the holy body, speech, and mind of the Buddha.
Ani changba de rangi ne sumji tasum de ne shendu ani tuba shen kasa ne shendu ani tuba shen de ba zaba na xin seni changxing se de injiri wa samten yang xin ani zhomden de jang 사바 미비 내 추구라 미지바 투 냠바 가서라 동반이라 제주도 냠바샤베 냠샤기 추구라 마겨밤 미여밤 마겨발 아니 꾸다 소지 들어와 투마라도 때마자바 인간한테 가서 창신 사면에라 미지바 주와 남바 투마라도 때
And then, like Brahma, the Lord is motionless in the immaculate plane, but shows himself in many apparitional forms. So just like the Brahma on the realm of the 33, while remaining in his own place of abode, then emanates out many replicas without himself being removed from his own abode. Like this example, the Buddha too, while not removed from the uncontaminated sphere of the Dhammakaya, while still in the single-pointed state of equipoise, then emanates out, multitudes of emanations of the holy body, speech, and mind. So this so this line kind of illustrates the activities of the body, speech, and mind.
남자人间一心罗这图남자一心罗这罗这图자원 남지 수대 차자 신도 이게 매 세대 다 송고서래
Like the sun is the divine wisdom that ejects its light, and similar to the pure wish-fulfilling gem is the Buddha's mind. Like the echo, the Buddha's word is not produced by effort.
number 타바 니용바의 세지지바긴 마크바긴 number 타바 아니 이신이보단 드라위 투지 상와탕是说남다 이신이보 남다 렌제 이신노 지투 세체
So the holy mind, which is free of the two types of obscurations, the obscuration of afflictions and obscuration to knowledge, then is pure like that of the wish-fulfilling jewel, symbolizing the secrecy of the holy mind. Similar to the pure wish-fulfilling gem is the Buddha's mind.
자원 남지 송대 차차신도 이게 매 세대기 아니 자원 남기 산제 그 송대니 차차신도 아니 전대 그 그냥 나와기 차차들라 차코란라 전대 그냥 말 그놈 매나야 차신 다자와나 신체님 전대 그 그냥 나비 이게 매봐 송그 상와탕
And like the echo, the Buddha's word is not produced by effort. So, the Buddha's holy speech then, not requiring the effort of a motivation, in the same is likened to the echo. When there is an echo, the echo itself is without kind of a motivating factor to make that sound of that echo.
군인 나가다고 찹당 숨에 따바니 세대기
His body is like space, all-pervading and eternal.
군인 나가다자 숨에 따바니 세대 가르sun 거래서나 아니 구 나가다고 차바당 나가 가잡라 산제 그 투치 차바 산제 그 투치 가서 세제 가잡라 산제기 쳔배참 산제기 쳔배 가잡라 산제기 꾸이 차바 꾸둥오 지기바 인상 꾸니 나가다고 차와탕 세테
his body is like space all pervading, as we say that wherever there are objects of knowledge, then that is pervaded by the omniscient mind of the Buddha. And wherever there is the omniscient mind of the Buddha, therein also is the holy body of the Buddha, because in the state of Buddhahood, the holy body and holy mind is one in nature.
아니 토바다 제위 수매바 수매 따바니 세데 수매 세가라 토제지 수매바 토제지 스나 가르스나 토바다 제와스나 수데기 랑기 코사르 수견현 중와라 아니 코치 쳔부게나 수견현 미중와라 토바스 거래 와 랑기 코사 수견현 미중와라 코호도 인스 상제의 수견라 토바메바 이시그랑신 인장
and the holy body of the Buddha is without kind of obstruction, does not obstruct, because the holy body of the Buddha is a transcendental wisdom body, is the self-appearance of the transcendental wisdom body, and so therefore it is a body without a form that which obstructs. When we sort of define what a form is that which obstructs another form being in its place. So, unlike such a form, then unlike such a form is the body of the Buddha, which is a self-appearance of the transcendental wisdom.
상와서 배단자오 다 규미샤바 세가라 론주 조유 구디투 아니 치시 처이바도 주와체 조유 구디 도자기는 뭐로 아니 양알에 대해 수남바제 수남 양알에 대해 수 땜바 여장 아니 규미샤바 뭐 규미샤바 주와 인장 규미샤바 따바니지 상와서 배단자오
and then the term eternal means that the holy body of the Buddha then exists eternally, like in the case of the Sambhogakaya, then that Sambhogakaya body, Buddha's body of enjoyment, remains until the very end of samsara, and the sublime emanation body then although it displays the aspect of passing away, in relation to the in the face of the disciple's mind, then there is this appearance of passing away, but it is permanent, or it is eternal.
사실 조의 까비 최지 매는 말리비
And then the next line, and the state of Buddhahood is like the earth, being the ground for the growth of those remedies which are the virtuous elements of the living beings.
Oh yeah, that's it. 가르송고도 세나 밀라 소비 때 사신도 가서를 밀라소와 댄스에 칼라룬데 텔라 취풍보데 텔라 사진디단 텔라 좋아 댄스가 살아 아니 좋아 댄바 세지 밀라소비 댄 사신도 주변원도 당에 탑단자와기 원도 당에 탑단자와기 까비 취지 아니 까보게 왜 취지 매나 말리비 차용수 소위 아니 남바 그 실주와의 가르래서나 다 잡아 투지쳐버려 투지침비랑신 투지침비랑신 내주 타침바그 안에 산재가 사들해.
So just like human beings, people are supported by the grounds of this earth, like this example, then the great compassion of the Buddha, the completion of that great compassion mind of the Buddha in the state of Buddhahood, that enlightenment is the foundation or the basis upon which upon which then sentient beings are able to attain for themselves higher rebirth, liberation, and all of the qualities of enlightenment are sort of generated on the basis of this, on the basis of this enlightenment's great compassion.
Da, ni shaba seji na. Da tini ni wala chuwa da leni seni ni wala jega me bi chundi shaba. Deshe. Da da zawa di wa le so. Sashi zhuyi ga bi chu ji man na ma le bi na ba kin du shi ju ba ne san jie sai yin no. Wa. Da ni da tini ka ro ko. Wo ya da ta sha. Da chuwa da len yi yu bi na ne. Len de la, ji ga me bi chu di sha ba da, na do me bi chu di sha ba yin xian.
So then the next part is presenting the presenting the point to say how it is without birth and death, and how it is without conceptual thoughts.
Sanje jumden de la, ti da du, jiao me ji.
So
the Buddha, and the Duja Namji Kiwadan, Gaba Tomadan, did I get Sanja Drovanam, Hinji Jimmy, but Temba Kandiri, Sena. That is to that my Tuatele land on Guade.
So the question is, since Guru Shakyamuni Buddha is forever without birth and is forever without death, but in the eyes of the disciples, then there is that appearance of birth and death, and so therefore, then how do we apply the activities that of the Buddhas being spontaneous and uninterrupted?
Oh, that Disha Bachava, the end Shabala, Tapa Bindru Yadrai. Similar Sanje Tommy Ju, Teta Sani Mitobi, Tebi Ambo Devani, said it.
So the answer to that concern, to that question, is verse 91. The causes for the perception of the Buddha in the mind, pure like the Vaidurya stone, is the intensity of the faculty of faith, owing to which this purity of the mind is preserved.
Similar Sanje Tommy Ju, said it. I need to check Jula Sanje Ju, Anugula maybe Tabadan, that is Tasso, you are what Tasso may do. I need to give up in Louis Sashidan Dravi, and Duji Semla Sanje Ji Suju Gus Tommy Ju. I need to check Tata Taban, to check Tabani, to check the Sanje Jukumus to check. The Tabani, Sanje Juku Toma, Midobi, Tabi Amber Devan Julachonga, so in the Sanje Juku Toma, Midobagi Tabayova, the Tabati Jula Dene, and it dips the Tani, and it Sanje Juku Toma. Siwara,
so
Devan Jula.
So the causes that allow for being for a mind being able to see a Buddha is when that mind is purified of the obscuring factors. When the obscuring factors are removed, then you have the cause to be able to see the image of a Buddha. And what the cause that allows for that is like the mind of faith, and there are other causes. There are 5 other major causes that contribute towards the potential to see the Buddha.
No. Most time do the career, Sagana, most time like Dipchi, the Taba, the Sanje Juku Tonala, Midobagi, 아니 대비 안보 때와 대비 안보 땜보 되기 아니 줄에 총아 인장 대비 대다산이 미도비 대비 안보 때와 이 세테인 바래.
So purifying of the obscuring factors that obscure us from directly seeing the Buddha and having the basis of a very firm, stable faith are the causes for the ability to directly to see the image of a Buddha.
ranga madon wade tesoji ambo mami bi yimbe sitate ranga madon tesoji ambo mami bi yimbe duji tesoji gawa gewa dan jiba na duji longo la sanje ge suni gewa dan jiba nuba dan nawa yinji.
For those individuals, for some of those individuals who are not able to see the form of a Buddha, the image of a Buddha, is because of not having been able to ripen the causes of the faculty of faith and so forth. So that's the next verse. In accordance with the origination and bereavement of virtue, the form of the Buddha appears and disappears.
인상 산제지 깨와다 집어 나야 될 가래서나 집지 그 처만 타바기 가사 대다라 안 산제지고 깨와다 나 유마미 비 가사 대다라 안에 산제 집어다 나야 만나와 집어다 나와 이래 자진 그 순에 차와다 누비 왕기 자진 수 차와다 누비 주와 대다 말이
So for those whose minds are ripened, then to them there is the appearance of the form of the Buddha. For those whose minds are not ripened in faith, then there is the form of a Buddha disappears in their view. Whose faculties are not ripened in faith, and so but similar to Indra, the Lord, in his Dhammakaya, neither becomes born nor does he vanish.
다 그쪽 가시라 산제 통화랑 아니 가소래 대바 매바디 라 대바 매바디다 아니 지구 산제 지구 매자와나 개와께다 지반에 산제 수동 계단지 유대와 대라 산제 지구 지 주마상와 대라 산제 지구 마자와 인자 그 지바.
So, in accordance with the origination, generating virtue, generating the virtue of, the irreversible faith, and bereavement of virtue. When one does not have the required merit, the ripening of the faith in the mind, then accordingly, then the form of the Buddha either appears or disappears in the view of the disciple.
자신신도 투반이 최유구이 지지매 세가라 다다지 시원하세 자신기 손에 차와다 너비 깽기 아니 자신기 수 차와다 너바 주그려 와서 너버 주와 자신도 투반이 최유구이 최기 왕기 직도 주와 매바 매대 투와 티신이라 냐바샤바라 다음 미스비시
게진 쿨라 카리어스
그래서 자신신도 투반이 최주구라 당하면 와 자신 그 구대 컨텐츠를 자신의 거래에서나 자신 그 수냐 차와다 너비 왕게 자신 그 수 차와다 너버 주와 뭐 주구래 어떻다고 많이 봐.
So in the case of the Indra's form, depending on whether there is an Indra's form or not, then accordingly you have the reflection of that form or not. But unlike Indra's form, then the holy body of the Buddha, which is the Dhammakaya, is not subject. Is ever present, and it does not have features of being present at a time and not being there at other times. It's not subject to that.
Oh yeah, that digi. Kaso jajin to tubani chijukui jejimi ti yewatan jiba me. Ane bazwa me tishin to ni be me be. Jeme game chugula. Sipa chesi padu ne tembala su zaba chu tigana oda tishin la dawa mesibi chidang tishin du sanje ji longji zoyu guyang luji nango chunje du nyanga le debe su demba mesibe sa tata ji shuga na chi longji zoyu gula luji nango nyanga le debe su demba mesiba shewa chao.
So verse 90, thus without any exertion and effort emanating from the Dhammakaya, which neither arises nor disappears anew, he manifests as long as the world exists, the apparition of this body and his other acts. So that Buddha is always in a state of the equipoise, in emptiness or in suchness, and that this the Sambhogakaya body then remains until the very end of samsaric existence, and so therefore it does not have it does not display any sort of aspects of appearing and disappearing.
Jeme kame chugula chita nembala so jaba ju pedenam ji diwa wo set ta dine kase da seba chisina wa tu se jeme kame chugula set te impata jashin ki sunya la so wa namba topa mi pe chishin du Beba meba ngame sadu peri kya meba tang sadu tripa ki kapa mebi chechen ji kula sipa chisi neji padu ani suji kula sawa tembe zaba jumi chepa wo standa tiri sara kase tishin tinu be meba keme kame chukula sipa chisi nema tu temba la su zaba chu.
So just like the example of the Indra's form, that reflection, how it is without the without kind of conceptual thought of there being how there is no conceptual thought of that for that reflection. In the same way, then the state of the Dhammakaya then is engaged spontaneously, and continuously, without there being a newly arising or ceasing of it. So it's emanating from the Dhammakaya, which neither arises nor disappears anew. He manifests as long as the world exists. So the next is the presenting the sequence of the examples. Such is the meaning of all these examples, and such the order in which they are given. However, the subject has not been discussed with regard to dissimilarity that exists between the examples and the topics expressed by them.
태가 아니 다치를 예배 아니 최진자래 봐 이말라 베트남지 디와니 되니 디 심바양 시체 아 제가 예배인데 드니 마마 치마 치메도 방벽권에 접어인 세대 연 병아망아마 tenla yebi yende chima dan che midin be namba tamjedo che tumba pambi kone ane korum ge ngwa jobare ko daje tam jibada mado namba tamjedo che tumba de pambi kone ane korum ge ngwa jobare
so in presenting these examples these examples are just a sort of a nominal example to illustrate these points, but these examples do not correspond to the meaning. Does not correspond to the meaning in every aspect, but just nominally, or it's just a nominal presentation because those examples does not correspond in every aspect to whatever point is being presented. So, verse 95, indeed the Buddha is like a reflective form, but the latter being voiceless cannot match him. So the holy body of the Buddha, which is likened to the reflected form of the Indra, so like a reflection, then the holy body of the Buddha is without thought constructions or without conceptual thoughts. Yet this holy body of the Buddha acts as a condition for triggering, thoughts of virtue such as faith in the mind of the disciples. Like the reflection of an Indra's form on that lapis lazuli stone, then when other devas see it, generate faith and thereby generate virtue, and this reflection is without any kind of intention for, is without any kind of conceptual intention is without that. So similarly, the holy body of the Buddha too is without kind of a motivation of any kind of concept, and like the reflection, and acts as the condition for triggering faith and virtue in the minds of the disciples. Yet this comparison is not similar in every aspect, because unlike the Buddha's form, Buddha's holy body, this reflection of Indra is not able to turn the wheel of Dharma and so forth.
That's the guy said, Bambi gonna Japan, Sanje Sunyan Dabudi, Yanda Minda Tedemin, Sanje Sunyan Dabudi, Yanda Minda Tedashin.
The Buddha form is like a reflected form, but the latter, being voiceless, cannot match him.
사인하시 탐제도 전제 제바 텐자민 세가나 상제기 송데 사인하신데 최시dom시 좌초비치.
So he's like the drum of the gods, but this one is not like him in every respect. The holy speech of the Buddha is likened to this celestial drum.
탐제도 자와마인데 사인의 뒤 탐제도 섬제 되미십실.
But it is not similar to this example of a celestial drum. The holy speech likened to a celestial drum is not similar to the drum in every aspect, because unlike like the holy speech of the Buddha, this drum is not forever able to render benefits to sentient beings.
사인하신 탐제도 전제민바 텐자민 세지.
The celestial drum is not able to fulfill the benefit of sentient beings for all times.
산제그 두지 전부 등당 차대 두지 노동민바 채비실 등래 채바바데 노동민바 채바 나시 산제그 두지기 두지 노동민바 채비실.
And the Buddha's great compassion is likened to the cloud, because it is the Buddha's great compassion that allows for the ripening of the minds of sentient beings, just as how these rain-bearing clouds then, ripens the harvest, ripens the field of harvest. In the same way, the great compassion of the Buddha is likened to the cloud. In a similar way, ripens sentient beings' mind. The Buddha's mind, his mind resembles a great cloud, but the cloud is not completely like it.
정지 철파배 아니 난지 동안라 소위 대매 비싸베 뻔이와 말에 산제기 투지 증래 아니 투지 증래 난지 동안라 소위 대매 비싸베 뻔이와래.
So why this cloud, example of this cloud does not does not kind of resemble the holy mind of the Buddha in every aspect, is because these the rain from these clouds does not is incapable of getting rid of the sufferings of lower realms and the seeds of this. And the seeds for these causes of these sufferings, whereas the cloud of the great compassion of the Buddhas then is able to purify the sufferings of the lower realms as well as the causes, the seeds of these sufferings. So we'll stop here for this moment.
Xie Beji Chushin Meto Rao Lin Xin Nin De Jianba Di
Sangye Shindo Min Den Bulwargi
Zhou Gun Nang Da Xin La Jeba Yi Dang Gu